Hi, everyone. It is Jenny Guy. It is Thursday. No, it is Wednesday. I always do this on Thursday. And Jocelyn and I literally just said that it was Wednesday.
What day is that? Right.
It is Wednesday, May 8th, and this is Teal Talk. And I'm here with the incredibly wonderful Jocelyn Delk Adams of Grandbaby Cakes. Welcome, Jocelyn.
Thanks so much for having me. And thanks
oh my gosh.
Sweet intro.
Well, you're the best. So first, we're going to be talking about how to build a brand that you can stay passionate about. But first, I just kind of want to have the wonderful Jocelyn introduce herself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you are existing in this blogging world and in the Mediavine world, please.
Yeah, sure. So I started my blog, Grandbaby Cakes. I actually really like to refer to it more as a brand because I feel like it really has evolved and has grown past the blog. And a blog is really just a small part of it now. We're not even a small part of it, but just one part of it. And I started it in 2012. I was working full time. And like some of you ladies out there and men out there who can totally relate. And I was juggling both. And it was just really a hobby at first. And, you know, as things kind of started to take off and I really found this incredible love for what I was doing, I was trying to figure out how to do it full time. And at that, it was like, how can I do this full time? How can I get out of my 9 to 5?
Heck yeah.
Right. And so I was able to kind of find a space that I feel that I've been able to navigate and, you know, find something that's genuine and being able to relate to my audience. And because of that, I've been able to continue to blog and do it full time for about 5 years.
So you say, I love how humble you are. You've been able to kind of do it for 5 years. So Jocelyn is a rock star. And so I loved what you said about how the blog is just a small part of that brand now. Can you tell me a little bit about what you think that multifaceted approach is?
Sure. I think that I have... I started with the blog, definitely the brand partnerships, because I think that's another facet. They're not totally tied together with the blog. Also, the television is a huge part of my brand now, the television and the video. Also, being a cookbook author is another facet of my brand. And then also speaking, engaging at events, appearances, that's another facet as well.
So many revenue streams. We love to hear about diversifying those revenue streams.
Yeah.
And I preach it all the time. We all preach it all the time. But can you just, from your perspective, why is it so important to keep those revenue streams diversified?
Well, for me, I personally don't like to do the same thing over and over and over again. I need to keep things fresh and interesting or I lose interest in what I'm doing. That's also a part of why I love blogging so much. Also a part of why I love you guys so much, Mediavine. You guys really share a wealth of information about how you can make it in this industry. And you guys aren't just pegged into sharing one thing. You believe in really sharing exactly how you can build a brand in whatever way fits you. And I think that's super important. So for me, just seeing that there was more than one way to make it, and that there isn't an A to Z, there's just not one route in this business. And I think that knowing that and understanding that and finding your path is the best way to succeed.
Totally agree. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Grandbaby Cakes. Tell us how it started and why. And I love your brand. I'm excited to hear more about its inception, though.
Oh, thank you. So, like, I guess what I can say is, if you really want to take it all the way back, it started when I was little. You know, it started as a little girl because the brand is all about family. The brand is all about relationships, about generational recipes, and about just bridging the gap between different generations and preserving memories and preserving things that in tradition. So keeping all of that alive was really important to me. My grandmother was super important to me growing up. And I used to bake in her kitchen in Mississippi. And those memories really just carried with me until I was an adult. And I didn't necessarily see a space where those generational recipes were being done at that point, and in a way in my voice. So when I started just randomly sharing recipes or just baking for people, people wanted to know more about what I was doing. My friend's like, you should start a blog. And isn't that always how it starts?
Yeah.
You should start a blog. And so
with that head motion too, you should start a blog.
It was important too. So that's
obviously
kind of how it started. Clearly. And so after she said that, I was just, I was like, okay. So I started with like iPhone photos, like really kind of just low budget here. Okay. 99-cent templates that I got off of, like, someone made it from Etsy. Okay. This is how Grandbaby Cake started. But I was more interested in honing my voice and interested in honing exactly what would make me different in this space. And things just grew from there. I just kind of picked up things as I went along, like most of us.
Yeah. Well, there's not, I mean, that wasn't a major in college. It wasn't like, please create a brand and become a blog. Yeah, I mean, that was not a thing.
Now I'm like, why
should be
a major somewhere? Right.
I totally agree with you. So you said you were, I really love that you said that you were interested in finding what made you different. And how do you identify that? Because at the time when you started, you've been blogging for a really long time and you have a wealth of experience, but it's not so long that everything had been covered. So how it was a pretty clustered food space when you started. So how did you find those differences?
Well, I think here's the thing. I think that it's really difficult sometimes to know exactly the space you want to go into. So I tried a wealth of things. Like that was the first advice I would give anyone. Just try a lot of stuff, and just see, what works and what doesn't. And then always really just be true to who you are. Find something about yourself, whether it's a story. For me, it was in integrating my history and integrating the stories of my family and the stories of these recipes that were being taken down, from one generation to the next, and how they ended up in my hands. That was so interesting for me personally to tell. And as an audience grew from like one or two people, namely family, who were reading it was like, this is a great story. I'm like, this is about you, but thank you. Thanks for reading. After you do that, and after you start to see that there are people besides your family that were actually interested in the stories, then you kind of see, oh, well, my interest matches their interest. You do not have to please everybody. You do not have to be a blog for everybody, but finding something that works for you and that helps you tell the stories you want to tell, and matching that to the audience that needs that and requires that, is really the key.
So when did you know that you found your people? Like when you found that voice, what did it feel like to you, and what responses were you getting?
So I feel like it felt more like not necessarily like a blog anymore. It didn't feel like I was writing a blog. It felt like I was building a community. That's awesome. And I think that is really, truly the difference. Like it wasn't a huge community. It still isn't like the biggest community ever, but it feels like a community, meaning that people are sharing their stories. They're sharing those stories back with me. They're finding relatable aspects in the stories that I tell. They're seeing themselves in the stories that I tell, and they're finding something that's relatable and exciting in those stories and in those recipes, because those recipes really are stories. They're both. They work hand in hand. And for the people who have written to me and said, "Oh my gosh, I grew up making this. Oh, your uncle reminds me of my uncle," or finding themselves and relating to those stories is how I knew that I was on the right path, because they weren't just following along to find out what was going on with me. they were following along to, maybe find a piece of themselves along the way too.
Yeah, that's very lovely. I love that. I love that community building aspect
Absolutely.
of it and that connection. So tell me how the brand has evolved since you began.
Oh my goodness.
It hasn't at all. It's exactly the same.
No, it's exactly
still 99-cent templates.
Oh my gosh, just a little old thing from 2012. We're trucking along, y'all. It's it has really surprised me because I didn't go into this really expecting anything. I always put like 100% into everything that I do. And I always wanted to do the best that I could, but that has changed because I didn't realize that, creating this would be or become a bigger thing than I could ever imagine. I never imagined the book at the time. You know what I mean? I always dreamed of possibly writing a book, but I didn't necessarily see it coming to fruition. I never thought about TV. I'm being real about that. That was never a thing for me, even though I actually was a communications major and I was in mass media, but I was behind the scenes. I was never in front of the camera. So it's so funny how if you just kind of follow curiosity and if you just allow yourself to be open, that, this industry can surprise you in a lot of different ways.
I can't believe you were behind the scenes because you were such a natural in front of the camera.
I was an assistant producer. I was a production assistant. Like I did everything behind the scenes. It's funny.
So did it scare the heck out of you when it was time to get in front of the camera, or did you love it? Yes.
Oh, I loved it right away. I was like, why haven't I been doing this forever? And I think that that's the thing I also felt when I started blogging too. When you love something, when you're in it for more than the money or the accolades, and it's just for the joy, then you instantly feel like you're at home. You're like, why haven't I been doing this forever? And that's exactly how I felt when I started Grandbaby Cakes.
That's amazing. So adjust your camera a little bit because we're covering your beautiful face a little bit with your name. Hi. It's your name. You didn't even know it because it's.
I had no idea. Yeah. Hi. Okay.
Hi. Yes, you could. Yes, that's perfect.
Okay.
So, okay, I know that I realize that this question is totally backwards in the fact that now that you have hindsight with it, but what would you now say if somebody was starting out or just in the inception of a brand? What are the essential things that you need, the essential elements?
I think that you need authenticity because I feel like, especially now, and this is a hindsight answer, because when I started, like you said, there were blogs in the space, but there weren't as many blogs in the space. And now it is like so saturated. Like I feel so bad for the people, trying to find themselves and offer something unique in a space that's so crowded now. But the way that you can do that is by, really allowing yourself to be real and to be true and connecting with people as you, not connecting as who you think they want to see and not connecting as, who you think people expect you to be, so I think that also takes some personal living, like that takes some soul searching, outside of just the blog world. We talk a lot about the technical aspects of running a blog and then what we don't talk about the heart stuff. Yeah. And the things that make people want to follow you, want to be your homie, want to feel like you're their best friend, even though they've never met you ever, but they find something about you that clicks and that connects. And so for that to even be there, you've got to be cool with you. Got to be cool with you. You've got to be cool with allowing people to see who you are. And I'm not saying share everything. Keep what you want private. You 100% can do that. But just allowing people to get the true essence of who you are. And I feel like that's the first step to really building a brand that resonates with people. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to connect. That's all this branding is. And that's all that blogging truly is. And then on another level, I also think that being very clear about what you want out of this industry from the beginning is also a really good way to think about it too. I think that a lot of people do come into it like, I'm making $1 million this year, and that's
tomorrow.
Awesome. Can I borrow some money, peeps?
Yes.
But like, but also it's really important to write down the things that you really expect and that you want to work for and have some goals, but also some things too. Like I want people to love this recipe. I want people to make this a regular recipe that they make every holiday because they love it so much and they connect with it so much. Those things will keep you interested in what you're doing. When you get the email back from someone that says, oh my gosh, I make this every Easter, it's going to continue to help you trudge through this industry even when it gets difficult.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely true. And we talk so much about SEO and site speed and ads and all of that. I mean, not to say that that's not important stuff.
Absolutely. But I have realized that the people that don't have the heart in this industry don't last. It like the end game is the thing that gets you up out of bed every day. Yep. And when, hey, Google makes a change, you don't say I'm quitting. Or, an algorithm, change happens. You don't say, forget this, I'm done, because you have more stakes in it than that. You have more connected to this than that. So that's really important to know and remember why you're in this. What's your why?
Yeah. Why is such an important question that I don't know that we ask as often as we should in today's times. So, okay. Let's shift a little bit. If anyone has any questions for Jocelyn, please ask them, or I'm just going to keep talking to her nonstop because I love talking to her and I don't get to see her that often. So sorry, my time. And just a side note, Jocelyn is actually our keynote speaker at our Chicago conference. So we're going to get to see her again. She's so incredible and I'm so excited to have her. Okay, so let's talk design because you have a very specific look on grandbaby cakes. What do you think about when you were deciding and determining that look?
So I wanted something that felt nostalgic yet fresh, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's the brand. It's it's a mix of my grandmother's kind of energy and love, but I wanted to couple that with something that felt newer and fresher and a little edgier. Mm-hmm. So bridging the two in a way that felt comfortable and homey was really what I was going for. So I think that's really kind of the aesthetic vibe.
I love, so the way you're talking, when I talk to people about being intentional and I love that you're using these so specific and vivid adjectives to describe what it is that you're doing.
Absolutely. I think that you definitely need to know that because everything that you do in your brand, like the aesthetic is really crucial to conveying what you want to say. People are very into visuals. So, if your visuals don't match like the heart of what you're trying to get at, like if there's a disconnect sometimes. So really being clear, like write down what you want people to feel when they look at your brand. If they go to your website, like, what's the first thing I want people to think as soon as they go there? What's the first thing I want people to think of? Like those things are really crucial in building the brand that you feel fits, everything that you're trying to do.
You just said exactly what I say when I'm doing my, when I'm giving like a session. That's exactly what I say. And then the other thing I say beyond the adjectives that you just said is that think about who you would want to play your blog in a Lifetime original movie. That's the other thing I but for real, like, do you want Meryl Streep or do you want Cate Blanchett? That's a different aesthetic. That's a thing.
It's totally different. Right? I love that. Oh, I love that. Mm-hmm.
So okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. Who would play grandbaby cakes in a Lifetime original movie?
Okay. I am really, really, really feeling Yara Shahidi right now.
Yeah.
She is so fresh and youthful, but she's got like these traditional kind of ideals and a respect from where she came from, which I feel is the total vibe of grandbaby cakes. I love her.
I'm looking at I actually was just looking at what she wore to the Met Gala, and she killed it.
Yo, like she's everything. She's everything. I love her. Oh my God.
I love it. Okay. So here's a question. I know that it's something, and maybe it doesn't impact you because your brand is so tied to who you are as a person and your family, but there are so many people, like, how do you make your brand grow? How do you not want to chuck it? Like, as you're starting to go, I'm really freaking tired of talking about this.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's be clear first of all that it's okay for you to have those days, and you can love your blog and you can be totally tired of it at the exact same time.
Yeah, definitely.
There are times when I'm like, just throw grandbaby cakes out the window and then I'll pick it up tomorrow. It's fine. That is totally normal. That doesn't take away from your love for what you do. It's just you can get tired. It can get tiring to do this day in and day out, which is why you've got to really be clear about what you want out of this. And is it just the external? Is it just something that once you achieve that goal, you're done? Is it something where when you are 5 years down the line, and if you hit this goal of, I got as many page views as I want, like, is there anything else left for you to do? Is there something more? You've got to find something beyond the numbers. I like to say, like, you've got to find something that truly makes you feel as though there's a purpose to why you do this, why you provide recipes if that's what you do, or why you write about food if that's what you do. And if you feel that that's starting to wane for you, write in a journal, start to figure out, do the hard work of starting over in some ways, or refreshing what you do and figuring out how to reconnect yourself and your audience. Because I think that's the thing about what we do. There's a lot of people who hit it out the gate, and then there's a lot of people who, they're running the marathon. And I feel like I've been running the marathon because everything has slowly built up. Like I wasn't like out the gate killing it. And I think that is totally fine. I think that knowing why I do this, knowing that it doesn't matter if this audience, disappears tomorrow, or if these people stop following me tomorrow, I still have these hardcore people and I still have a purpose to what I do. So I think that just being able to understand that there will be hard times in this industry, there will be hard times, period, as you grow your brand, but figuring out exactly what it is truly in your heart for why you do what you do is gonna help you with the end game, with the long game in this business.
Totally agreed. So can I ask, have you gone through any kind of redesigns on your site? Have you
I've done it. I've done that probably 3 times. Like, I think I'm gearing up for another one in the next year.
Okay.
And so, when I first talked about that Etsy design from 2012, that little vintage Etsy design, y'all.
Right.
So that was just like, let me just get something up. And then after I started to build a little bit more and get an idea of what the blog was going to be, then I went back and shuffled some things around and had some ideas about the logo changing and the design of it changing. And so then I went back to the drawing board on that and redid that. And that, I think, was in 2014. And then I did another redesign in 2000, late 2016, late 2016. And that's the one that's current.
So what were the steps to get you to these redesigns? What were you feeling you needed to change? And then how did you, like you said, you went back to the drawing board on your logo. Talk to me about that process.
Yeah. So the first logo was, ridiculous.
I bet it was really great.
And I was like, just ridiculous, just plain ridiculous. I don't even know what I was thinking of that. And it was too literal. It was kind of like, I think it was like a cake in a pie thing. And it was like, hey, I bake. Yay. Like, you didn't fetch it from cakes in the title of what I do. This is it. So after understanding a little bit more about how in branding, the visuals of branding, it doesn't have to be so literal, and it can be more about the feel that it evokes. I went back and decided, like with the designer, I was like, I want to feel this type of way. I want people to feel this when they look at this logo. And we kind of went through some color designs, and it was more of a slight redesign. And then the last one was a more like, we totally redid the logo. And we also made the logo a little bit easier to translate to all types of things. So there were, we went through the colors, we went through the design of the logo, and, you know, where it could be, whether it was on business cards or if we were going to put it on, you know, a media kit, and just making sure that it would transfer from different mediums. And so that was the last process. And that took a little bit more time to kind of go through, I think.
That is amazing, amazing advice to be really thinking and use that you're going to have this replicated. This is going to be your logo that's going to be everywhere.
Right, exactly. So I think I started thinking more as I changed the logos, thinking more like a business too. You know, so I wasn't just thinking like, this is cute, you know, I really like this color, and like, but more about just in business aspects, like, why does McDonald's have, you know, this? Why does Burger King have that? Like, what do these logos say about these businesses? And when we see them, we immediately recognize them and feel a certain way. So starting to think more like that definitely helped.
Excellent. So Mia Voss said, what was the general reaction to your redesign? Did anyone give you a hard time about the changes, and did you even care?
I don't ever care. But also no one seemed to give me a hard time, to be honest. So maybe I would have cared if someone was like, what's up with this? But everyone seemed really open to it and loved it. And sometimes I think it's fun to surprise your audience and give them something new. And it makes you feel good too. Like I said, like when we're in it for the long haul, anything new that can be refreshing and less stale, like you get excited about. So even a new fresh design for you, like when you see it go up and telling people, oh my gosh, run to the website, got a new design, like it can make you excited about your business again. Little stuff.
Absolutely. So talk to me about some of these little things that maybe you can shift out with your brand without chucking everything away, that you can maybe do on a budget. Because I mean, I get it. Like you said, there are days when you're like, I'm done. Get out of my face.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that if you guys want to go the budget route, and maybe it's not like a total like huge website design rehaul, but sometimes it is something like maybe tweaking, just a tweak to the logo. So maybe, you know, getting a designer on Fiverr that's really reasonable and kind of talking through some ideas and maybe having them do that, or just maybe changing the template a little bit on your website to kind of order things differently. And it also just refreshes it a little bit. It makes you feel excited about things. Those are like easy steps that you can take. Or here's another thing. I've also been seeing a lot of people start to take more lifestyle photos of themselves, like even just a new headshot on your website, you know, so your followers can be like, oh, that's a new photo. Look at that. You know, that can sometimes be fun, and it's pretty fairly inexpensive. You know, you can even get a friend to shoot it, or a student photographer to do it super low, and it be something that's refreshing to your website.
I love that suggestion. Colors too, just a slightly different color, a font, so many things you could do. Exactly. I love those ideas. Okay, so in terms of, we kind of talked about this, that you knew that you found your people when you started to feel that you were building that community and you were getting that feedback that that I'm empathizing with you. I'm making this recipe every holiday. So how did you decide what your audience wanted? Did you do any trial and error, or was it when you just started to feel that community? Did you ever have a moment where you gave them something they did not want?
Oh, for sure. I think sometimes what happens is you will like, if everyone looks at like their blog, right? And this is not just for food bloggers. This is for any blogger out there, but everyone looks at their blog and everyone looks at their analytics. And then there are like probably those 10 hits that hit it out the gate no matter what. Those are like 100% like your posts. Like they come through for you when no one else does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're reliable and they're totally loyal to you. And then of course you have those posts that just die off and you're like, oh, I forgot I even talked about that. Forgot I even made that recipe. So it happens that sometimes like you definitely see the response, you know, if it's hugely positive in the beginning, or if you get a lot of feedback or responses via email or newsletter or on your blog responses. And then you see right away that people are gravitating towards it, and you can give them more of the same content if that's what you want to do. Depending on how you run your blog. I know a lot of people who just, you know, write what they want to write. And that's what makes them so authentic, because they're not concerned about necessarily always providing their audience with something that they want. Because sometimes you can lose sight of, you know, why you do what you do and the love for it if you're always doing what someone wants. So creating a balance for me has been key. So yeah, like I know my audience loves these types of recipes, and you know, I'll throw a couple out there from time to time because I know they love that and that's what they want. But I also, if I feel like, oh my gosh, I have this idea and I don't know if this is necessarily going to be the hugest hit, but I want to do it for me, you know, then I'll do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you decide, how do you choose content? What is your content development process?
It is one, it's got to be something that that really feels like close to the heart in some type of way. So whether it's a recipe that feels nostalgic, whether it's related to a recipe that I kind of had growing up, or something that I wish I had growing up, but it's all kind of tied to this theme of family in a lot of ways. And so a lot of the recipes are either like newer, fresher takes on things that I grew up with, or the like actual nostalgic recipe itself. Right. You know, those are really kind of the two things that I focus on as far as the recipe content. And then sometimes I'll just write to write, you know, like I shared my entire IVF cycle process on my website and talk to people. I think that was like 3 different posts about the entire process. Has nothing to do with grandbaby cakes, but thought I would share that because maybe a lot of people just didn't have information about that. So I shared those types of things too. Shared something about vision boards because that's something that I personally do every year. And I think sometimes maybe someone found it and was like, oh, I'm going to do it. So it's definitely a couple of buckets. Sometimes I talk about travel because I travel a lot, but it all kind of falls into one of those content buckets, I would say.
Talk to me a little bit about your vision board and how that process works for you, because it sounds like a great way potentially for someone to develop a brand or to develop a new brand.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love vision boards. I've been doing them for about 15 years, awesome. 15, 14 years. And like, I'm really big into manifesting. So for me, just seeing things on a board, seeing the things that I truly want in life or that I'm reaching for on a board visually that I can look at every day, or that I can even think about every day, just having that front of mind is really important to me. So what I usually do is, and it's changed over the years. It used to be like, I used to cut out all the photos and all the magazines, and kind of that old fashioned way, and like post it all over one of those boards or whatever. What do you call those boards? Oh gosh, it's mommy brain.
Like a poster board?
That's it. That's simple. That's it. A poster board. Gotta love that. So that matches like your what day is it thing. So yeah, so I put them all over a poster board, and then I would snap a photo and I would keep it on my phone. And I would look at it every day. If I wasn't at home and couldn't see it, then I definitely had it on my phone. And now I do a mix of two things. Like I grab photos from the internet and just build like a digital one and put it on my laptop. And it's like easy to see. It's wallpaper. Right. And then I snap up or keep it on my phone. I download it to my phone. I do it that way. And I also keep a Pinterest board of ideas and things I like to do. And I've done brands I want to work with. Like this works for literally anything that it is that you want in your life. So I have the personal side and I have the business side. And I've had everything from brands that I've wanted to work with, shows I've wanted to be on, all of those things, people I've wanted to meet, people I've wanted to work with. Where I want to see my brand going, money I want to make, anything it is that you want or that you see yourself or envision yourself having, you can put on this board. So, and it works with branding too. Another thing I will say about the branding, the aesthetic part, I did create a Pinterest board.
Yeah.
So glad you mentioned that. And I put all types of logos that I really liked, all types of colors, anything that I thought really kind of matched the brand or reminded me of my brand to give my designer an idea of the look and the feel I was going for. And then we shared that personal board back and forth, adding things. And it was a great way to collaborate and be creative too.
I love that. That's awesome. And Pinterest has made it so easy to create a vision board and made it painless because you don't have to have that. I saw something 4 days ago and I can't remember what it was. And I'm trying to remember now. Now you can just easily put it together. Absolutely. I love that. So we have got Tanya Harris Fleming said she really appreciated that she went through IVF at the same time. And she really appreciated you sharing that. So
awesome.
Yay. Mia Voss said it sounds like you have a great mixed combination of buckets. And she also said she likes your buckets. You've got great buckets, Jocelyn.
I've got great buckets. Yeah.
And she also said that here's her listening to you, and she's got heart eye emojis. So
thank you. Thank you.
So, question: when you get burned out, how do you stay inspired? And so for instance, if you're feeling like on those days when you want to chuck grandbaby cakes, are there certain things that you'll say, I'm getting rid of these things and I'm just focusing on this?
Absolutely. A couple things. This was like a recent burnout. Like when I first had my baby, I was just like done with everything. And it was just like, you
also have the cutest baby on planet Earth, by the way.
God, you were so sweet. I just was done with everything. I did not even want to think about work. And it was really hard to get motivated. And so for me, like the thing I really realized was like being able to delegate certain things. No longer do my photography. I was like, I feel really overwhelmed and just taking things off my list and feeling that I didn't necessarily have to do this one thing anymore. Just felt so freeing. And it opened up time. Like I wasn't sitting around having to like, style things or like do all these crazy things and then go and edit photos and blah, 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 blah. Like it opened up a portal of time that I am so excited about, y'all. Like I can take more baths. It's like, and that is key. For me, like just understanding that you do also need to have other things going on in your life is very clear, like, especially when you're suffering from burnout, because, sometimes things can get really, really crazy and hectic and busy. And like, I am like totally overwhelmed right now and it is great. But like at the same token, like I do realize that if I don't stop every now and again, and it's like, okay, I am like doing this, this, and this, I'm traveling here tomorrow. I have to be back here for this. And I've got this event. And if I don't even say, okay, I'm going to take 1 hour to do nothing, I'm going to schedule that 1 hour, because that, like, if that's the only thing, if I've got this to-do list and I'm looking at my to-do list and it says take a bubble bath at 8:30 p.m., I've got to adhere to that. I'm going to make sure that I do that. And that is the sort of thing that I do. Like literally I take so many baths, people. I take so many baths. Like, it's my
Awesome.
thing, okay? I take so many baths. I love movies. Like, you've got to find hobbies, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And most of us as adults aren't very good at hobbies. I've realized, you know, kids are great. They have extracurricular activities. What do we have? You know, what do we have? Like, do you paint? Like, I paint. Like this, like above me is a painting I did in my house.
Can you scroll up a little bit so we can see?
Yeah, like I literally like.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I paint things. I do all types of random things, you know. I take tap dance classes.
You do?
Yeah, I do. Because I grew up in dance class and I loved it so much and I wanted to get that feeling back. So I go to dance. Whenever I get a chance, I drop into a class. Like, you've got to have stuff that gets your mind off of work and makes you well-rounded. It gives you ideas about other things that you want to do in your business, but it also keeps you relatable and it keeps you sane. Okay?
Yes.
Sane, to have something else to look forward to and to think about. So that is my advice. The burnout is inevitable, but you've got to find ways to continue to grow as a person personally, to find things for yourself that make you happy outside of your business.
Preach. I love that. I love that you take tap dancing too. Now I want to tap dance with you. I love tap dancing. Are you?
Yeah.
Can you do it? Can you triple time step? I love to do a triple time step.
I can triple time step.
Yeah, you can.
Your video.
I'll send you one too. We can tap together. That would be amazing. That is amazing. Okay. How do you tune out all the noise? Because as you've grown, can you talk a little bit about, and I know that I'm asking you to toot your own horn, but like you have scaled and scaled and scaled, and so now you're on, like, you're getting ready to go to New York to do what?
Yeah, I'm doing some stuff for Food Network. I've been shooting, like I just finished shooting a show with them that comes out. It's a baking show that I'll be one of the talent on. That comes out later this year. And then I'm also shooting another show, well, 2 shows. One show this week and then another show as a judge next week. So it's been really crazy, really busy, which I am grateful for. I still do regular segments on the Today Show if you guys tune in. Love doing that. Love working with them. And I mean, I've just been really busy, which I'm grateful for. So that's all the Toot I'ma do, which is actually just another thing we've also got to learn. This is something I'm personally working on. It's okay to toot your horn. It's okay to be proud of the things that you've done and to express joy and to toot your horn. Just, it's okay, boo. You're doing it. It's okay. Be proud.
And you've worked hard. You've worked really hard to get to where you are, and you're good at what you do. So there's nothing wrong with that.
You're here.
Yeah. Tap dancing and being on Food Network, doing it all. So with all of this amazing stuff that you're doing and all the scaling that you've had, how do you tune out all the noise and how do you keep the imposter syndrome out? Because I know you have it. We all have it. Every person has it.
Everyone has it. If someone says they don't, they're lying. It's really difficult because this industry is built on comparison, even more so than a lot of other industries, I feel, because we're constantly in a space where we think abundance isn't possible because it seems that things are very limited. Like there's only number one spot on Google for a recipe. There's only one, you know what I mean? Not everyone can have the slice of the pie, you know what I mean? The pie analogy about there's enough pie for everyone. It's not possible. There's only one spot there, you know what I mean? There's only one this, there may only be one brand opportunity here. They may only be looking for one influencer, you know what I mean? So understanding that can be difficult because, you may
Uh-oh. Looks like we had Jocelyn freeze. Come back, Jocelyn, come back. Hello? I want to make sure she froze. Wait, I heard a little peep. Let me see if she's coming back. I think she did just freeze. Oh no. Oh, she's good. Wait, she just froze for me.
You froze for me earlier. Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now, but your image is frozen. Dang it. You're back.
Oh, I am? Oh, okay.
Shoo, I froze for you. Did it freak you out? Were you like, hello?
Yeah, you froze for me earlier, and I was like, oh, it'll be fine. And then you came back.
Awesome. Perfect.
I was like, oh, she'll be back in like a second. So I'm cool now. We're cool.
Yes, we are cool. Everyone is loving you. Everyone is congratulating you. Audrey Roberts said, congratulations on your new shows. Nicola Thompson said, that's awesome. Congratulations. Jenny Field said, down with the scarcity mentality. You are just amazing, Jocelyn.
Oh, thank you. You guys are super sweet. So what I was saying is because another thing is that we don't necessarily get to just hear someone, got a certain thing that we want. We see it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Media makes that all in your face. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're like, man, I really wanted to work that brand. And then you go on an Instagram and there's your homie, just posted a video about working with that brand. And so it is difficult. But what I want to tell people is that it can also be inspiring too. So what you see other people have, it only really just makes you more aware of the things that you truly want and that you can personally work for to have yourself. So that means that it's like, okay, like I see that person striving and I am so proud of them and I see what they're doing. Let me talk to them. Let me become, a contact of theirs. Maybe we can help each other, like changing the negative energy surrounding competition and scarcity and just any of that, like the imposter syndrome, and just creating a positive spin on that and realizing that if we all help each other, like, sure, I may not work with this brand, but there's another brand that may see what I'm doing. And that may also be an awesome fit too. We're not all meant to work with every brand. We're not all meant to have, the #1 chocolate chip cookie recipe, but that does not mean that we are not relevant. It does not mean that we do not have a tribe that loves what we have to say. It does not mean that our space on the internet is not needed and what we have to say and our voice is not needed. So understanding that even though you may not have what that other person has, there is something about you that is so special that someone looking at you and reading your blog will gain that from you. And if you quit, you won't be there to offer it. So I've realized that a lot of times when we are stuck in that space, it can be selfish for other people that need what we have. So just remembering that our voice is so unique and so special, and that there can be a million chocolate chip cookie recipes on the web, but there's something about your voice and there's something unique about what you have to say that makes yours just equally important.
I love that. Noreen Welburn Roberts just said, I love Jocelyn. She's amazing and gave me such a boost when I started out. She gives back with such grace. So happy for you.
I love her. She was in my group I started where we actually did vision boards to begin the year. And I think that's so important to just pass on anything that you have. Like I said, we can all be successful in our own unique ways in this business.
That is an amazing and beautiful. I love turning the negatives into positives and taking that what you could take as a slight and they didn't pick me into well, let's examine why maybe they picked them, and then maybe somehow I can get a little bit of that.
Yeah. What can I learn from this person? Like, how can we help each other? Like, we can all, pull each other up in this industry and just change the thought process behind it. But, another thing is that even when you feel those feelings, it's okay. You're human. Don't beat yourself about it. Feel it, write in your journal, take a bath. That's what I would tell you to do. Take a bath. Because that's my advice. Take a bath. And then after you do that, start looking within and realize what's important, what's great about you and what you actually appreciate about that person. And then learn as much as you can so you can grow.
Yep, you are so right. Okay, I have a question from our graphic designer, Susanna, who wanted to she wants to know how you kind of developed your photography style, because now you're actually, I'm sure you have to have it down to a science, because now you're having to tell someone else how to do it.
Yeah, and it started like at first, like with a lot of pain and agony.
Thank you for your transparency in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was just like, I went through the process of like, once I got the camera, like I was using my dad's camera, once I totally just stopped using like my iPhone. And I was just going through the process of trying to figure out exactly like how to use that thing, you know? And then once I finally started using it manually, and then also started figuring out that I liked things that were a little bit more brighter and cheerier. Like I experimented with everything from like the dark and moody, which was like, I loved seeing that, but it just never worked for me. Like I couldn't execute it the way like I see it brilliantly done out there in the space. So once I learned that, and then also that it wasn't like a good fit for my brand, which is all about family and love and the warmth, then I kind of tossed that. I was like, okay, this isn't a fit for me. So things started to be a little bit lighter and brighter, a little bit sunnier, and it just is a feel. And so I think that's really kind of the energy that is in the photography that I have now. And that's what I like to go with. A lot of whites, a lot of, you know, just being clean as far as like the palette is concerned, a lot of light backgrounds, and that's just kind of where I'm at right now.
That is awesome. So how did you learn about photography? Because you said it was kind of painful, but how did you get to the place where you
I just, a lot of trial and error. Like I think I read a ton of books. I think there was an ebook I read on food photography.
You covered your face again, girl. You covered your beautiful face again.
Hello?
You're back. You're good.
Okay. I read a lot of, I read an ebook on food photography. There was also a book I read. I've got to like dig these things out because I've like totally tossed them. I was like, I'm not doing any more food photography.
Getting in the bath.
Yeah. Getting in the bath. It's great. I'm taking a bath. So like after I read all that stuff, then I learned a lot more about just the process in general. And then I just practiced a lot. Like I took the photos from my cookbook. And that was like, I learned a lot in that process too. Oh my gosh, because it was, if that was like a cram school, like you learn like, you know, as you go along, like, but then like when you have to like take a ton of pictures all at once for like a book, and go through that process, like you learn a whole lot more. So, and just in the editing and just the style and just, it took years. It took years to get down to what I appreciated, what people liked. And every now and then I still share like a ton of my photos from my website or things that I like that I took. So like they're still out there. It's just in the last year and a half, I haven't taken my photos and I don't miss it.
Hey, that's completely understandable, and I love that you're owning that.
Real, right, keeping it real.
So we just had a question from Jessica Burgess. She said, first she said, are we allowed to ask questions to Jocelyn Eek? Just ignore me if not. You are. She said she's dying to know if you usually work one-on-one with brands for sponsored posts or if you work with the networks a lot. She said, thanks in advance, hug, kiss.
I work with both. Like I work under an agency, and so my brand partnerships, I work through my agency. Is that what she means? Like, do I have like a middleman, if you will?
I think she's asking if you are pitching the brands directly one-on-one.
I am not pitching.
Okay.
I am not pitching anymore. I haven't.
You were though.
I was, back in the day for sure. And I was not afraid to pitch, y'all. I felt like that person that knocked on your door like a million times in a week. I was like, knock, knock, knock. Hey, remember me? So I would like pitch the heck out of stuff. Like you cannot be afraid to hear no. I like some of the brands where I was like, hey, like 20 million times a year, like 2 years later, we're like, we want to work with you. So putting in the work, even if you're like, okay, I'm too small, this, that, and the other, whatever you think, throw all of that out the window and pitch. If there's someone you want to work with, pitch. Believe in yourself and pitch. Okay.
Amen. And I want to see, I wish we had a great shot of your face when those brands that like 2 years later circle back around where you're like, hello.
Yes. Why, hello there. Yes, exactly.
Lovely. Yep. Fancy meeting you here.
Oh, like, how about them apples? Okay.
I love that. Do you have any great pitching advice? Right. We're running out of time, which is depressing, but do you have any good pitching advice?
Yes, I do have good pitching advice. So because I have a communications background, I really approached my pitches in that, like in the way most people, or maybe even a publicist would pitch, like, with a press release. So it was really, for me, it was all about tailoring my information to match what I'd seen. So first of all, research. Oh my gosh, y'all. Stop sending the same pitch to everybody.
Amen.
You have got to put in the work. Like, if you, like, for instance, I hear so much from people who get really mad about the press releases that they get, and it's like the same thing sent to, like, hey, Jane Doe, hey, Jane Doc, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
And I love your product.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a fill in the blank situation. But I've seen so many bloggers do the same thing. They've sent the fill in the blank pitch, and they expect a tailored response, and they expect some type of really unique partnership with the brand. And that's just not how it works. Like, it takes layers. Like, you really want to do your research. What are the products that you actually love using? Like, how can you explain to them your story about using a product? For me, like I said, a lot of the stuff I talk about is generational and is about family. And so I talked and pitched a lot of brands that have been used for years in my family, and told them funny stories about it, and put something interesting in the pitch that maybe at least made me stand out some. And I think that's what you guys need to start thinking about. Like, how can I stand out from the millions of pitches that they get? Like, what can I tell them about how I use their brand, or what recipe I've used their brand for, or, how many times I've worn their brand, or whatever you guys do. Or whoever you want to pitch and whoever you want to work with, make sure that it feels genuine and create something that's different and unique. Like, after you've done your research and you understand possibly what they need. That's another thing. Pitch an idea that they may need. Don't pitch like, it doesn't always have to be a sponsored post. It doesn't always have to be like, hey, I want to write this thing on my blog. Maybe they need video. Maybe you're strong at video. Maybe you don't see them doing enough video, and there's a way for you to introduce them to your audience and tell them how your audience would be a great fit for them. So I really believe in doing the research for a little bit and then crafting the pitch. So instead of just sending out the same pitch over and over and over again. Yes,
you are exactly. I love that. I preach that. And to figure out why you are the person to solve their problem, because they have a problem. That's why they're working with an influencer. So you got to talk to them.
Yeah. Oh, you just
froze again.
Okay. Okay. Did you freeze?
I froze, then you froze. It needs to. Okay. We are straight up Elsa in this live right now, and it is not cool.
Frozen 2 comes out too soon.
I know. I'm so excited. Okay, so Jessica wanted to say, so you work with an agency that gets you the sponsored post. Genius. I didn't realize there was something like that, and we'll look for something like this. Yes. Thank you.
Yes, there are tons of agencies out there that work with influencers in all types of avenues, whether it's the digital space, the TV space, writing a book. There are agents everywhere, agents, managers, to help you once you get ready for that.
And that is so awesome. Okay, Jocelyn, so I'm going to ask you one final question before we go. And I'm going to give you a second to think. What is your favorite post and why for your brand? Like, what is the quintessential grandbaby cakes blog post, and we can share that. And I'm going to give you a second to think about it. But while I am letting her think, I just wanted to thank her immensely for coming on. She is amazing. I love the tap dancing, the bath taking, and just all the truth telling that we've had going on, despite our frozen ways. We've had an amazing time. And Jocelyn,
yes.
I was also just going to say we're so excited to have her in Chicago. Then I'm going to shut my mouth. You want to hear from her? We can't wait for her to keynote. Okay, post.
Yay. No, I was just going to say my favorite post is probably my caramel cake post. It's like one of my most popular, but it is a cake that's been around for so long. And then the reason why it's my favorite, it's not because it is my favorite cake, even though it is one of mine, but it is because it is the post that I get the most emails about. And the reason why that is because a lot of people's grandparents or grandmothers used to make that cake for them. And a lot of times they may not have had that recipe after they passed away. And so now they make that cake for holidays, and it reminds them of that family member. So that's why I love it.
I love that. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Jocelyn, thank you so much for making time for us. Congratulations on all your amazing stuff.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in and asking questions.
And we will see you in Chicago.
Yay! Bye-bye.